about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, I know I sour on Valentine's Day every year, but I just, oh my gosh, I'm hearing that the average person is going to be spending about $300 to $500 today. $300 to $500 is a lot of money. I'm not spending any money today. I'm spending it tomorrow, but I'm not spending any money today. I do like to go out for Valentine's. We're going to a great restaurant tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. And we're going to, because we do want to, still be a part of the festivities, but oh my gosh. I wrote an article last year and the year before. I think the spending at the time was like $23 billion, then it went up to $25 billion. Consumers are expected to spend $27.5 billion this weekend for Valentine's Day. How it's going up $1 billion a year? I understand our population grew, but is that inflation? I mean, $1 billion more each year to $27.5 billion. It's big business. And listen, I want small business to do well. When there's supply and demand and people are making profits and people are giving chocolates out in there. But I'm looking at some of these prices for $40 for a box of chocolate. $40. I was at a restaurant last night. I was at Claim Jumper. Claim Jumper is, a step up. I think it's like a step up from Chili's and things like that. But I'm looking at the steaks. $81. No joke. $81 at Claim Jumper for a ribeye. Now, I don't usually order that. I'll order a salad or something. But the $81 used to be fancy steakhouse prices on the Strip. I think those prices are still there. I mean, so if you're planning on going out to dinner and you're like, well, you know what, maybe we're going to save money and not go to the Strip, and why don't we go to a place like Applebee's or Claim Jumper or whatever? The food is good, but it's still expensive. So I like to, minimize the stress, help you guys out a little bit. What can we do to express love that's a little cheaper than $27.5 billion? Also, mind you, this is coming off the back of Christmas. I still have credit card bills up and Valentine's Day is a little hard because I got both my husband's birthday and my son's birthday too. So, we basically I tell my husband, let's kind of do a combined thing. And you don't have to get me anything. For Valentine's, it's okay. Let's just go out to dinner. I know you love me. I mean, I know I'm all that. So, you don't have to spend a lot of money trying to, display that. I know what I am. Thank you. I'm good. But I understand, people want to take part of the festivities. They feel like they're doing something wrong if they don't. Now, it's interesting. A lot of people are going to be proposing. There's a lot of men going to be proposing. And I know some of you are like, why? Oh, man, poor guys. Actually, no, because they're saving themselves $500. Think about it. If you were supposed to propose, this is the year everyone's expecting you to propose. And everyone's also expecting that on Valentine's you're going to be spending $300 to $500. Why don't you kill two birds with one stone? Rather than, I honestly, the suckers are the people that propose the week after Valentine's. All right? Like I said, my very first Valentine's gift was an engagement ring because nobody ever was, I either got dumped or I was always single right around Valentine's. So my first Valentine's ended up being Corey, my husband, although we were dating at the time. So my very first Valentine's Day gift was an engagement ring. Because we started dating the summer before. Yeah, we got engaged pretty quickly. But, when you're in medical school and you know what you want and, and my biological clock was ticking, we're like, why wait? We did the 1940s thing where it's like, I know I want to marry you within 2 weeks. So let's save some money. So one, cook dinner. going out to a fancy dinner and spending $300-400, as much as I want to help the restaurants out, they're booked already. So if you're trying to find a place to go, why don't you make something romantic? But you gotta mix it up. It can't just be, on the, in the kitchen table. Set something up outside. Set something up with candles. If there's somebody that can play a violin or something like that. I don't really like that per se when I go to dinner because I just want to eat. And when there's somebody playing a violin, you have to stop and look at them. And then you're like, oh, that's really, really nice. And you're like, but my food's getting cold. I want to eat my food. I don't want anybody watching me. And you're playing a violin. And now I feel guilty that I'm not watching you. So that's all for me. But if you think somebody's really into that, do that. But you can even have classical music in the background. There's so many different things you could do. Their playlist, make them a little playlist, I think is really, really cool. But don't just say, here's a playlist. Say, these are songs that make me think of you and have meaning to me now that I'm with you. So I wanted you to know which songs do that. I mean, that's pretty cool. Now, Baby Got Back shouldn't be on that, but something very romantic like The Way You Look Tonight or whatever. Very, very cool. So you could do that. I have some poems. I know some of you struggle with poetry. Hold on a second. Let me see if I have some time to give you some poems. Okay, I got some mushy poems here. Hold on. Let me see if I could share this. All right. So here's a poem. It's a little mushy. My world was lonely, cold, and dark until you brought it light. I love you more than words can say. You make my heart beam bright. It's not bad. Hey, if you have nothing, it's better. Don't worry, it's not copywritten. You could use it. I don't care. You could use it. Here's another one you could use, okay? Roses are red, violets are blue. I can't write poetry, but I do love you. That's fine. You could do a limerick. There once was a hot girlfriend named Lucy who makes my heart feel juicy. You could do whatever, but you don't have to necessarily be spending all the money. Bake something, create something, paint something. Saves you some money, and there's thought to it. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Now, don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, YouTube. Click like and subscribe. And if you ever miss a show, you could go to our website at drdaliah.com. So remember, there was a study a few years back saying women who identify as liberal seem to struggle more with poor mental health. Well, we have another study here saying liberal women are more likely to experience loneliness and experience less satisfaction in their life. This is according to Family Studies, the Institute of Family Studies. And they looked at research. This was the 2024 American Family Survey. And they say that young liberal women are markedly less satisfied with life than their conservative peers. They found that 37% of conservative women reported being completely satisfied with life, whereas only 12% of liberal women did. They said young conservative women are 3 times as likely to report being very satisfied with life compared to young liberal women. Moreover, liberal women are 2 to 3 times more likely to report they are not satisfied with their lives compared to conservative women. And they say, and consistent with previous research, the effect of ideology on young women's happiness held up to controls for age, education, race, income. So they basically filtered out if this had to do with somebody living in one part of the country or a certain age, etc. And, you would think the moderates would be the most happy and the most satisfied, but the study looked at conservatives versus liberals and moderates, and the conservatives seem to fare the best. Now, this concerns me in that, I think we just put too much into politics. Now, I love that we can vote. I love that we can have a passion about somebody we're voting for or a platform. But that shouldn't be all consuming your life. You should, we have an election. You have the news. You could watch the news. We used to watch the news at 5:30 p.m., although I missed a lot of it because I was working. When you're doing 36-hour shifts at the hospital, on call, don't get to see a lot of news. You get little snippets. But you could separate from that. Now, people are so plugged in that we are getting news all the time. And this study was done when Biden was in office. So this isn't President Trump now being in office and liberal women struggling. This is from data while Biden was in office. So this bothers me because I don't want to see anybody's mental health be poor. I don't want people feeling lonely. I don't want people feeling less satisfied in life, especially as it pertains to politics, which a lot is fake and kind of brewed and fueled by media. And so what's going on here? So some people are going to call out the stereotypes, and they're going to say, well, liberal women may be more inclined to be single and may be more inclined to not need a man and to reject those types of traditional values of, well, you need to always have a partner. You need to be married. You need to have family. And, we might need to, research this. Do some women that kind of like, well, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. And I understand a lot of us. I remember when I was younger going, anything you could do, I could do better. Sometimes we have this whole girl power phase, but I love men and I wanted one and I wanted to be married. I wanted to have kids. Is it that instinctively we really need to tap in on our maternal instinct and and us not having children may make us feel unsatisfied? Is there something psychologically, in our, we are built, evolutionary wise to procreate. And for those of us that don't, do we end up feeling like, we're missing a limb or we're missing something in our lives? Is it that, I had a lot of patients who had post-abortion regret, even years after? Is it that abortions are more common in liberal women than conservative women? And that might be, adding to some of their stress. Is it that they feel like they aren't getting equality? Whereas conservative women may say, I'm good. He's killing the spiders. I'm breastfeeding. I'm doing this. I'm good. Whereas do some liberal women say, no, this isn't enough. And I'm not happy. I get to see inequality and I'm seeing it through a different filter and it's weighing on me. I'd really like to know what is going on because I don't want to see anybody suffer. If you're a Democrat or Republican or conservative or liberal or independent, that shouldn't be affecting your mental health. That shouldn't be making you feel lonely. Now, one theory that's been postulated with this is many conservative women may identify with a faith and religion. So they have that community. So if they're going to church or they're going to temple, or the mosque, or if they're a part of that family community, they have, more individuals in their lives. Or if they are a part of an upbringing where kids are encouraged and having kids where they're surrounded by kids. I've had patients where they had no children, either sterility or they married later or something happened and they feel lonely now because they don't have kids. They don't have the grandkids. They don't have those other family members. And so, I'd hate to say this has to do with politics, but it might. There really might be some sort of a tie with somebody who's more liberal leaning or conservative leaning. I've always told you all, do not let politics run your life. Politics are politics. You have other things to do. And I understand the media and politicians want to completely interweave into our lives, but you need to find that separation. If you want to believe in God, if you want to go to temple, if you want to go to church, if you want to get married, if you don't want to get married, that's not a Republican or Democrat thing. Don't live your life to be a Republican or don't live your life to be a Democrat or a conservative or liberal. I mean, if that's something you really, really want, if that's your religion, well, then that's your religion. But understand what it is. Look at how the Republican Party changed. This is a much different Republican Party with Trump. It's a Make America Great Again party, a lot of common sense, a lot of why are we doing this? Why do we have records in a mine? Why are we, spending on contracts that aren't being fulfilled? That's a different part. That's like a cleanup party. And so political parties change and their platforms change, their ideologies change. And you need to go back and realize what is it that you need. When I heard that there were some young women while the Roe v. Wade overturn was going on and there was a lot of, chaos and commotion. And I was hearing some young women online going, I can't wait to have my first abortion. I think people are losing sight. I understand they were trying to say that for political, I guess, community, and that may be their community. But, I'm telling you right now, I've had many, many patients who miss, the child that they could have had. Some don't. There's been studies saying many do fine, but there are others where they're like, that could have been somebody in my life. So, we take a step back and figure out what it is you really want. We don't let the media and politicians hijack. If you want a puppy, if you want a relationship, if you want a job, if you want to travel, if you want to not be alone later in life, if you want to know that there's always going to be somebody there for you, that is what needs to guide you in what you're doing. I hear a lot of people say, don't go into medicine. Now with politics and Obamacare, it's a mess. You're not going to be able to pay off your loans. I told you guys this the other day. If you really want medicine and if you really want to help people, do it. Now, I understand there's been some laws and things have changed, and it might not be that conducive or lucrative, but if that's really, really what you want to do, do it. I mean, radio is not lucrative. but I want to do it and I'm happy. So you need to figure out what makes you happy. If you having an electric vehicle and going to, protests and I don't know, and being, a part of a political party makes you happy, then all the power to you. Then you're not lonely. Then you're not unhappy. But if we really are seeing, on the whole, people with certain political ideologies struggling, we need to look a little deeper as to why is that happening. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So Massachusetts City, Worcester, right? Is that how you pronounce it, Worcester? Votes to become a transgender sanctuary city. This is being reported by multiple news outlets. I was watching the hearing, and it's Massachusetts' second largest city, according to the New York Post. And it's the second largest city voted to become, a sanctuary city for transgender people. It is one of the first in the country to do so since President Trump took office. And the vote was 9-2. And their city council passed a resolution declaring the city's new status, which also applies to people from the LGBTQAI plus non-binary and greater genderqueer community, unquote. The resolution has no legal binding power, but means the city is officially committed to refusing to cooperate with federal or out-of-state entities that would infringe on the rights of the trans and queer people community, according to the New York Post. According to Boston.com, the resolution read, no city resources or city property shall be utilized for detaining persons for solely seeking or providing gender-affirming care. They say no city resources shall be utilized for cooperating with or providing information to any individual or out-of-state agency or department regarding the provision of gender-affirming care. So this resolution was put forward by the Queer Residents of Worcester and Our Allies. That's the name of the group. And called on the city to declare itself a sanctuary city and a place of safety for transgender and gender diverse people. They say the trans, non-binary, and LGBTQAI plus community in Worcester and nationally are being attacked by President Trump. So, what's interesting, I was looking at this hearing, and somebody said, I'm fighting for my life. And he was like, he feared he was going to die. Now, I don't know if he identified as he or she. It appeared to be a biological male. And he was dressed as a male, but he was saying he was fearing for his life. Now, am I missing something? I have not seen anything that is trying to kill people or trying to, medically hurt them and put them at health risks. I'm not seeing that. I am seeing, I saw the resolution that Trump made to ensure that girls did not have to shower with boys and did not have to compete with boys as it pertains to sports. But when you're hearing individuals feel that this is about their lives, they have to, it's almost like they put themselves into this frenzy where they think they're going to die and they need this protection. Now, once you start seeing, well, this has to do with gender affirming care, that's going to get a little bit more complicated, especially as it pertains to kids. The UK has banned gender affirming care in the pediatric population. Unless there's some, I think unless they're in a clinical trial or if they're already currently undergoing certain treatment. But in terms of any new 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds or 14-year-olds, the European Union has discussed risks and the UK has banned it. In America, however, you have the American Academy of Pediatrics and you have multiple medical groups saying it's fine. It's safe. Well, what is it? How do you have, and this is what blows my mind. Okay. You would think in medicine, we would all agree dropping a bovie or something that could cut, even though it only works if you put your finger on it or whatever, into a body, is dangerous, right? Trying something that is untested. We have standards in medicine, and the majority of us have agreed on them until politics got involved, and we had vaccines and mask mandates and things like that. And doctors like, look, okay, can we, talk about that? That was one of the biggest problems I had with Fauci, as it pertained to the mask. The very first time he spoke on it, he said the right thing. He said, look, these masks may provide a barrier, but they're not going to protect you 100%. And that's that wasn't incorrect. That you need to know that what you're doing, may not necessarily protect you against a viral illness that might be killing people. There are, there's better equipment out there that we're trying to figure out how to get to people. But instead, the second or third time he spoke, it was an immediately about face. Yes, we have to mandate. Yes, we have to this, we have to. And I'm like, yeah, but remember, the mask is dirty once you wear it and spit on it and breathe your moist air on it. You need a new one, and you probably need an N95. And these N95 respirators may have chemicals on them, like some studies have shown. And but then you couldn't get Fauci back. He was just on one side. And so when we look at kids and arresting their growth, stopping their biological evolutionary process, which is a healthy process. I understand we want to stop cancer, but if there's a process that their body is supposed to, with every nature's being and force, and I got to tell you, puberty is a force. And I got to tell you, there's no hurricane is as strong as the forces behind putting somebody through puberty. But a medical decision to stop it so that they could appear to look like an opposite sex is controversial. And I think what's not controversial is that might not be the safest thing for a child. But apparently it's not. There's doctors going, oh, it's fine, because of the mental health. How many times have we heard detransitioners or transgender individuals saying the transitioning didn't help? They're still sad. They're still depressed. They're still suicidal. When I hear a child is suicidal or a child is depressed because they are waking up every day looking at their body going, I'm in the wrong body. I'm supposed to be a cat, or I'm supposed to be a dog, or I'm supposed to be a male, or I'm supposed to be a female. These kids are struggling, and they need all hands on deck. I don't know if the best treatment for them is to stop their growth and then cause them to now be at higher risk for bone injuries, for short stature, for blood clots. And not to mention infertility. I mean, we just saw a study about how individuals who may be liberal, not having as many kids, have poor mental health. Now you're going to take a child and make them infertile? How does that help their mental health? So in medicine, I don't understand why everybody isn't kind of in agreement going, look, with kids, we got to be. And the argument they're making is if a child is depressed about their sex and gender and identity, then we need to change their identity. And we need to fix their identity right away. Well, what if a child is upset that they're poor? Do we have to make a child rich? We can't make every child rich. What if a child is not the cool, good-looking, athletic kid? Do we have to now do plastic surgery on that kid? I wanted to be a blonde, and my hair was kind of light brown, strawberry blonde at times, light brown. So now we have to change my genes to make me blonde? No, what we do is we help kids deal and understand and work with the gifts that they have. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah or X, Facebook, the Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So, RFK Jr. has now been confirmed as Health and Human Services Secretary. And, I hear the back and forth. I have friends who are liberal and conservative, and some of my liberal friends are like, "Are you kidding me? What is he going to do? And I go, he's doing exactly what people voted for Trump wanted him to do. And what a lot of people forget is during COVID, we lost a lot of trust in the CDC and Fauci and public health initiatives. And I told you guys this was going to be a mess. I go, look, I'm pro-vaccine, but you start to mandate it, you start to come up with blocks and shadow bans. And this one doctor in Maine had to get had her license pulled and had to get a psychiatric evaluation for bringing up natural immunity and going, why isn't the CDC looking at natural immunity? People got scared. And I told you guys back in 2021, if they do this wrong, and they need to be very careful about how they proceed with these vaccines and any sort of threat of mandates, which Biden said he wasn't going to do, and then he did. I go, watch, you're going to see parents pull kids out of school, and you're going to see parents try and avoid the other childhood vaccines. They're going to say, you know what, I don't trust any of them. And when I would talk to patients about, okay, well, the CDC is right, I'm like, the CDC. I mean, now people look at the CDC as a joke. Okay, as a doctor, I'm worried about that. As a physician, I have to follow guidelines. I have to follow standard of care. I'll also tell you what I think and what, based on my knowledge and education. But we do need something that the U.S. can provide for us to direct patients to so that they could learn and understand and follow. The flu view, for us to look at flu cases, very confusing. I'm a physician, and it's confusing in terms of the graphs and the small print and all the, if you want, I remember our local Southern Nevada Health District had some great graphs and charts, very easy website to navigate when the COVID pandemic was here. But the CDC, it was confusing. And then when you were trying to look at side effects as it pertained to the virus and side effects as it pertained to the vaccine, it was very difficult. And then they even took it off. There was this paragraph talking about some of the side effects and myocarditis and claims of early death with the vaccine, and then that was removed. And so no wonder people are like, this is all political. And I told you guys back in 2021, and even in 2020 with the mask mandate, that if we don't give correct information and we don't let people see the data and understand why they have to do what they're doing or why we're making that recommendation, you're going to lose them. Remember the 3 E's? You need to engage, educate, and enlist. We're not engaging anybody by doing mandates. We're not educating anybody by having a confused website. So then you want to enlist them to get a vaccine or to put on a mask or to get childhood vaccines or to reconsider vaping? They're going to think it's all political. They're going to think all these senators are being lobbied and getting big pharma money. So here's RFK Jr., who is anti-big pharma. He's, why aren't we questioning what crap is in our food? Why aren't we looking at the science? Now, Senator Mitch McConnell says, I do not want to relitigate proven cures and proven, but, what's proven today might be different tomorrow. A medication that might have worked for you in your 20s might not work for you the same in your 30s or 40s. Our bodies are always changing. Our bodies are evolving. Viruses are changing. Look at how we're having some measles in both vaccinated and unvaccinated people recur. Look at what happened with pertussis. There's a perfect example. We have now had to add a booster for pertussis because we've had pertussis outbreaks in vaccinated individuals. Yes, we're going to be relitigating or reinvestigating. If not, we're behind the times. For those of you that said a shot of schnapps is going to cure your virus or cold, if you notice, they started to change that proven cure to, no, if you have the flu, why don't you use an antiviral? So always in science, things need to be reevaluated. And to say, no, whatever vaccines we came up with in the 1960s is the exact same type you need now. Let's look at it. Maybe we need to update the measles vaccine if we're having more measles outbreaks. maybe we do need to look at the numbers we're giving. You know, when we give 6 shots to a 2-month-old, 6 vaccines, and I understand that has been proven to be safe, but you have a lot of parents going, I have a healthy baby. I got through, all it took to have this healthy baby, and now you want to inject something into them. What do we have for that parent to educate themselves and to learn? Now, I understand if it's a government website, it could be biased. I get that. But then why don't we have a non-biased? See, the CDC is supposed to be non-biased. The NIH is supposed to be non-biased. And interestingly, the NIH came out with a study during the Biden administration on fluoride in the water and how too much fluoride is affecting kids' IQs. So that's not a Republican Democrat thing. RFK has been talking about fluoride for a while. And then we have a study during the Biden administration from the NIH echoing that. But nothing gets done. So now everybody's like, well, he's going to take away our Twinkies and our Big Macs. And he said, if you want to eat a Twinkie, eat a Twinkie. But you as a consumer should know what the hell is in it. He's right. He's right. So, we are in a different age. Okay. When years ago, decades ago, it was, oh my God, I'm at the mercy of the doctor. I'm sick. Whatever you say, I'll do. And I have to admit, doctors at the time kind of liked that. I trained differently. And what I did with my patients is I'm going to show you the buffet of options. You have this option, this option, this option, or this option. Pick which plate you want. I'm going to give you my opinion. I think you should pick this one on the right because of X, Y, and Z. But these are your options. It needs to be a mutual decision. And in fact, medicine in the late 90s and early 2000s were all about mutual decisions with patients. And then all of a sudden, it's get your shot. Don't ask me any questions. Don't bring up other drugs for COVID. Just do what I say, not as I do. And yeah, patients are like, wait a second here. And also, we live in a time where people can access studies. They could read. They have access to the textbooks. It was really hard to get a medical textbook years ago. Now people could go online and see the medical textbook. So you want to withhold information? And of course they're going, and then if you go to the internet, there's misinformation. Yes, there's misinformation online, but there's also other information that people are trying to search for. So when I bring up to patients, well, the CDC recommends this, or I would say 9 times out of 10, somebody just starts to laugh or scoff and make obscene gestures about the CDC. And I want the CDC great again. Make the CDC great again. Make the NIH great again. And maybe RFK Jr. will be the one to do that. 1-877-Doc-Daliah.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.